Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US Tech Stocks, and we're looking at the S&P here. Now there's two, I'll just give this quite quickly, there's two scenarios that can play out here that are the most likely. So we can either come down here for 5 waves here and then push up here to make a high over here, and then have another correction here, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So that's one of the moves that can play out. So we could probably look at 5.4 or 5.3 down here for this in this area, but we'll go in and have a closer look at this with the indices video. Now the second thing is that this market can come down further, and as you know, I've been looking at this two tops here in different ways. In this way, there's a really good case for wave 3 up here with an A wave here, an ABC for the B wave here, and down for the C wave here as an expanded flat. So that's probably the most likely, but I'm seeing stocks that can have tops in place. So in that case, if we look at the alternative count here for the S&P, it will take us down further here. So in this case, we call a top in over here, and we look at this here as down for the A wave, the B wave, and then the C wave down here. So this little move in through here, which we'll take a look at in a moment back on the other one. I don't think I've got this on the well, it's here, so it's good enough. So in this case here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and 1, 2 going down for the third wave here, the fourth and the fifth. And then in this case, we would have all of this down here for 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5. So this is bringing us closer down to the 5,000 at that point. So there's two things that can happen. We can come down, we can come down into this area and then go up, or we come down in further. So any short trades we'll do, won't be looking at this until we get the bounce of wave 2 there, and then we'll look to take on this leg here. So just coming back to this leg here, I just want to explain a few things here. I'm going to try to move through. We've got a lot to get through, so I want to get through as quickly as possible. So yeah, okay, so what I'll do here is I'm just going to take away these here. Could probably leave those, probably just take those away, and we want to go back into the monthly chart here for a moment. Okay, so we want to go sort of back here, because when we get into bear markets, then we start to see basically we start to see, whatever trend that you're in. If you're in a bullish trend, then all the commentary you see is about, going to the moon, and as soon as you go into a bear market, it's basically the floor, So you need to sort of take a balanced view on things. And I just want to talk about that for a moment. So this chart, this S&P here, pretty much takes on the Dow Jones when it came back in the early days, early days. I'm not that old. Back in 1870 here in this. We've got a nice little 5 waves up for wave 1 and 2 here for this. And this is this 1 and 2 here is the 1929 crash down to 1922 there. And the funny thing about this, though, this move going up through here into the 1900s here, I mean, this was a stage where it was part of the S-curve, wasn't it? I mean, it was part of, from 1900, you could see probably one car on the street. By 1910 in New York, there was like all cars on there. So within 10 years, it went from horses to cars, and then it was in this area here that, JP Morgan and the other dudes organised it so retailers like ourselves could buy shares, because they couldn't do it at that point. So they had a share market boom and a property boom, and they had the same problem, what Donald's doing today with the tariffs. They did exactly the same thing here, not quite at the top or anything, but just down around here, the Hawley Crawford, who's it, Hootie Crawford? I can't remember. They did exactly the same tariffs. What Donald's doing now is exactly what they did here. But still, this was severe, and you know, yeah, I mean, it's severe. But even when you have a look at, I also just wanted to show this here as well. So this is going back to the 1500s here, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with it. I can put this chart in the chat lounge in the stock area or the indices area, but basically I just want you to sort of have a bit of a look at it, because in your own time, of course, because, you know, the market has just continued to go up. It only goes up to the 2016 here. This was a 1929 crash here. So, you know, there's going to be all sorts of comments being up the top here, but whatever happens, it's really just going to be a correction in one way or another. And all I'm going to do is basically just work through them in a logical, unemotional fashion, and just go step by step. So obviously we've had a nice little run up through here, and I'm just still counting it to the upside. You know, that's basically what I'm doing. I don't see it as being the end of the world type thing, do you know? So just sort of I just wanted to get that into perspective a little bit, because we're likely to see you know, larger corrective patterns come into play within this. So, but I'm thinking that we've either got wave 1 up here, or we've got wave 1 in here, and we're going into wave 2. So we're either going into wave 4 or wave 2, pretty much the same as we talked about sort of last week in this. And this also goes for a lot of stocks as well. Just while we're here, this is Meta here, and you know, Meta's had this, you know, move up and a nice move back, and it's basically got 5 waves up here, which we're going to have a look at. And this will be the same for Google as well. So an A wave and a B wave and a C wave. So we've got a fair bit of sharp sort of moves to go on here. So this wave 1 and 2. So we've either got wave 1 in play, which is probably likely, or we'll have wave 4. So this is what we need to work through with all of this. So just going back to the daily chart here and putting some other counts on here. So an A and a B and a C wave down here. Now this could play out a little bit differently here, but we'll be coming down and testing these lows within this space here. So just going into 5 minutes here and picking up this here for the intraday traders and bringing in a bit of a count here. So we've got 1 and 2 here, and well, I've got 2 counts overlapping here, so I can just put this here as a minor count here. So basically 5 waves down for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and the third wave down. So we've got 3, 4, still got 3, 4 and 5 to go down here. So we've got to see if this is going to be wave 4 coming into play, or we're going to have it coming down as wave 2 at that point. So it'll be the same for the NASDAQ as well within all of this, and I won't spend a lot of time on the NASDAQ either, because I'll do that in the other videos. So this is the NASDAQ has been a little bit weaker in the markets. Now we'll look at this as an A and a B and a C wave down here. I will sort of change this from cycle degree to primary degree, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We're still looking for further downside. Now as it comes down here, it's going to find a bit of support on this current low, or the 19,000 here, and get a bit of a bounce off that. But we'll have a look at the futures market and so on. So yeah, there's a couple of ways this could play out here. Basically, we could have this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. That could just be 1, and we come back for 2 here, and 3, 4 and 5 down here, and finish like this. So there's a little bit to work out with all of this. yeah, otherwise we sort of go into a bigger picture. We call the top in play here as wave one, and we're working another pattern. Now I really just want to go to the stocks at this point. So because some of the stocks we want to have a look at the bigger picture. And with Apple here, this is a daily chart. Apple's already been in a correction for some time as well here, and it's kind of we've got this nice A wave down here and ABC for the B wave here, and we could view this here as as 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little bit high for wave 4, but it hasn't really broken any rules, so I'm just going to leave it at this point for this. But Apple's sort of been doing sort of different things than other markets. So basically what we can do here with Apple is, if the S&P is going to move down a little bit further and so on, then and have a little, as we're just looking at the NASDAQ. So if NASDAQ got a bounce off the 19,000 and went back to retest the 20, then this market will do the same as well. So this market could just have this move here, here, and here, and actually go up from that point, because we can count the 5 waves up to this point and then an ABC. Otherwise, we'll need to look at this as a wave 4 here, and we'll look at this as a little 1 and 2 in here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave over here for this. So yeah, there's different ways to look at this, and in this case here, if we're coming down, then we'll be coming down here to take these out into probably, so coming down closer into the 200 at that point. So yeah, we'll just see how that plays out. So having a wave 1 here is a bit of a long shot, but I just really wanted to I didn't want to throw it in the bin just yet, because this is what we were looking at before. So we'll just see how that plays out. And so with Amazon here on the daily chart, we'll be seeing it, looking at this as a wave 1, just as we looked at before, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. So just coming into this little area here on the 15-minute chart here, we've got our wave 4 up here, and all we need to do is count 5 waves down from this low here, so 3, 4, 5. So we should be sort of seeing some support. May even come down deeper here. It'll just depend on the sentiment as well, but obviously this previous low here is normally where you sort of see wave 3, and then wave 4 will have some sort of bounce. It will get a bit messy there. How far this comes down here, normally if the extension's in wave 3, well then wave 1 and wave 5 will be sort of roughly the same. So we'll just work through that, and then we should get some sort of bounce here for wave B, which I'll just put basically at wave 4 there. And it's all really about this 200 here, this major level at this point. So we'll just wait for that to play out. Okay, let's have a look at Nvidia. We'll look at the bigger picture in Nvidia as well. Okay, this is a monthly chart here for Nvidia. It's pretty much everything that we've got in here at the moment. So from this point here, we can see we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. At this point, it is a nice third wave in this particular space here. I could take this third wave and drop it up here further, but the question is about how to count this here. I think the better count is having wave 1 here and 2 here and 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, the fourth wave here. So I've got this top in play here. If I can just come back and look at this top here on the daily chart here. I know that was a little bit quick, but so I could look at this as wave 1 up here as well, like I've looked at with the with some of the other markets like this one here, like Google here. I could look at this as, I could bring this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So just to bear that in mind. But in the meantime here, what I could say about this particular market is we're definitely going to see it under the 100, but we're also going to see a bounce on the 100. So from the top here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1, and then back for 2 here, and then we've got 5 waves down here. So I could call it an ABC correction here, or even a WXY as well. It could get rather sort of complicated, but what I've decided to do is to bring it into line with the other markets that are coming down and are going to have a low in place here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then some sort of ABC. How far that comes up here, it seems to be a good, support resistance area there, and then back down here. So it's basically going to be hanging around the 100 above and below here. So we can look at our 80 down here for that 80, 90 in this particular space for that. So it's not good trading at this particular point in time. It's pretty much going to be stormy, choppy waters here for quite some time with this market, unfortunately. Let's have a look at Google. So this is a weekly chart for Google, and it's obviously reacted from this major level up the top here, and the 150 is a good support down here for this zone here as well. So a bounce off the 150 and a 3-wave move back up at that point, and then down again into the sort of 120, 130 sort of area here. And just looking at this on the daily chart now, just to get a bit of perspective on it, and we'll just drop in some of this here. So we'll see some type of in line with the other markets. We're looking at 5 waves coming down here. So we're in this strong move here is the 3rd wave. So we still needed to come down a little bit further. So look, it might drop into 148 and those sort of things here. And then we're looking for some sort of ABC pattern. How far it goes back up, head and shoulders, the old sort of story, and then down again at this point. And yeah, I mean, we could look at it on a 15-minute chart at this point too, but most of the moves down are pretty much the same. Most of the tops of this previous one over here, but that's a little bit different. Either way, so in this case here, there'll be some sort of, let me just check this out. It'll be in here somewhere. It'll be like this here, and we can look at this being a minor wave here. I probably already had it here, maybe. There we go. Yeah, so some sort of bounce off the 150 area here for this. Check on that. That can come back up to the 165, trying to get in there. And yeah, so we'll sort of pick it up. The only other alternative here is that we have these 5 waves down, and then we have an ABC pattern, and we come down again. So I'll be mindful of that when we get to that point. Okay. What I want to see is I just want to see the group of the markets actually finding support here, and then moving up from that point. Some of the stocks that haven't moved down that far can, push up and make new highs in a lot of cases. So, just as an example here, like Google's come down a long way, so it's unlikely to make a new high, and but the S&P, it's come down a fair bit, but it could just breach a new high here, giving us that top over there. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's have a look at Microsoft. So this is Microsoft on a weekly chart, and I kind of need to drag it in line with the other counts as well. So the other counts still need to do an A and a B wave and a C wave down here. So I could do it a little bit differently. I could have an A and a B and do a longer C wave down here as well. So I'll just see how this particular structure plays out here, because I could have this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and bring it further down. But if the other markets are going to move up, I've got to take it in line with that. So Yeah, this is where we are at the moment with this. So we can, longer term, we can expect this market back down a lot lower at this stage. But we'll see, may not get to the 300, but somewhere in that space at this particular point in time. So from this correction here, if I bring in this count here, I've got this as 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth and fifth. So like the other markets, we're looking here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. And so yeah, 5 waves down here just to get to the A wave at that point. So we can just bring that into the 15 minutes and in this case here looking for that 5 waves down. Now, obviously it's at this previous low here, so yeah, we can expect to see wave 4, but it's a pretty nice structure in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for this. So we'll just allow that to play out. Not a lot to do at this point. Let's have a look at Tesla. Okay, so this is a weekly chart for this for Tesla, and obviously, as I mentioned a long time ago, this first leg down here is corrective. So whatever happens from that point onwards, it's always part of a correction. The move up here appears to be in 3 waves. So as an expanded flat or a triangle pattern, they're the 2 options that we have. So an expanded flat would have wave A here, an ABC for the B wave here, and then 5 waves coming down, taking this low out here. As an expanded flat, it's kind of just taken a nice little chunk out of the top here. That's kind of how it normally, that to me is about right. Yeah, there are there's all sorts of, ratios and so on, but to me, the pattern, the size of the B wave, taking out the top, that means that it should take out eventually, we should see it down, Tesla down under $100. Now it's going to take a little while for that. The move down through here, we can look at that next. I could play it out a little bit different. And like I said, the triangle pattern's the other one, so that would be an A wave, a B wave, a C wave sitting on this trend line here, see a D and an E wave over here. So we could play it out as, there's different types of triangles as well. So, but yeah, either way, a choppy road to the downside. So let's just check into the into this here, and there's no real sort of change here. Let's just bring in the intermediate here. So I've looked at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but I can see that it could be counted differently as well. Now it's also possible that that this could be counted differently. The reason I've counted it this way for is because with the S&P and the other stocks that we looked at, we were looking for them to, the other stocks, we were basically looking at them, they were coming down, they had their wave 1 and 2 and 3 here, and they're going for 4 and they're going for 5 and they'll be finishing, and then they'll be, going into a rally at that point. Well, it was kind of the same here really as well. I'll just ditch this here. So down a little bit and then up and then down. That's what I'm sort of thinking. That would be in line with the rest of the markets at that point. So basically an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave to the upside. Something like this here. So we'll just continue to let that sort of play out. If it does push up through here, it does get up here, then we'll look for the short trade over here, or if we can get a set up here, we can trade long up here as well. But in the meantime here, we do have an impulse wave to the downside here. We have a nice little 5-wave structure here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe the 5th wave's already in here. Maybe it needs to come down a little bit further, not sure. Let's just see this ABC pattern here first, and then we can look at getting the first impulse wave up here for a setup on some particular number, 250 or something, and then we can move up from that point. But that's where we are at the moment for this. So let's have a look at Bitcoin. So firstly, I like to view Bitcoin as a tech stock because that's the way that Wall Street looks at it. They basically sync together. So this is the same. This is the monthly chart here, and we're looking at 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here for this. So we're looking at this the same as you know, Meta and Google and all of those, you know, stocks, basically. That's my target area there, 300,000 to 2030. Now, I know that's not a lot. I know everybody's got like talking about millions and zillions and all those sorts of things. But yeah, that's not the case as such. Yeah, so it'll take a good 4 years to get to the 300,000. That's my sort of bet. Now, there's only two basically ways of this sort of happening now. We've either got wave 1 top in here, or we count this a little bit differently here. If let me just, that's a little bit messy at this point. Yeah, either way. So with those tech stocks, we've basically got, as we pointed out, you know, most of them have got like a wave 4 or a little B wave in here or whatever, but basically they got to come down, they got to rally, and then they got to come down again. And then I would see this then push it, then, you know, then making a move to the upside at that point, you know. This is quite a nice structure up here, 1 2 3 4 5 for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 4 5, and this, I've got this a little bit differently than probably other folks. I could still drop it back over here now as well, calling that top in. So we've either got this as a wave 4 or wave 2, so it's the same as the other markets. Now, I know that you know, we can see out there that, you know, we've got Brazil doing a sovereign wealth fund, we've got the banking regulations in the US of changing, and you know, there's a lot of positive news going on, but like I always say in the markets, you always get the opposite of what you think you're going to get, you know. So I think that's sort of where we are with this, really. So there's probably different ways to count this down. There are different ways to count this down here, and I've never really been too bothered about it. If it did certain things, then I'd be sort of bullish with it. And like the other markets, you know, I could actually put wave A in over here for this. But that means that if we're going to put this into play, then I'll need to bring this up here a little bit further, and then bring this one up here further. But I kind of like this sort of over here in a way, because it kind of, looking at it in terms of yeah, let me just go out a little bit here. So I was thinking of it, you know, lining it up with other stocks in some way or another, but 1 and 2 and 3 and A, B, C, D and E here, and then coming down from 5 here for this, and then going to the B wave. But, you know, I really wouldn't worry about it. I'd just take that with a pinch of salt, because, you know, the other side of this is that this wave A here could already be in play here. You know, this could be like Tesla going up. It needs to do a little bit of a dance, and then go up, and, you know, hit supply up here at 90 again, and then come down into, you know, 72 or, you know, 65 even. You know, that's where the real support is from the last correction. So when we have a look at the previous correction, we've got it here, haven't we? So yeah, so all of this here was 60, 65, and 65 is the medium level. Let's just bring this out here for a second. So this 65 here is the medium level. So when this market came up here, even if it was above it and below it, it was always about, will the 65 become the support or not? And when it does, then I know that we're going to go to the upside of that point. So, you know, we got highs above the level, but that pushed up there. But when it retested, it, you know, failed, and we had a bit of a retest here. That might have sucked me in a little bit. But eventually, when it sits over here so nicely like this, checking it here, checking it back, and checking here, then it's, you know, it's good to go at that point. So that 65 is, you know, that's the, you know, that's the I mean, that's where the support is, right? That's the real support in the market, 64, 65. So we could put this over here a bit closer to 60, 65 here. I know that's pretty upsetting for everybody, and I'd like to see it go to the moon, but that's where it is, and that's the support. There are other supports in here, of course, the 80 and you know, 72 and all of these tops and things, but there's, you know, there's nothing from here really until you get down here further in all of this. So anyway, we'll see. This is, all I'm saying is that this is the same pattern, generally speaking, as the tech stocks will be going through. So we'll see how that goes. Now we could be in the B wave already here, or we could drop a little bit further and test the lows here and then push up there. But I don't think we're going anywhere for a while with all of this. You know, I mean, when Donald got into power, you know, this is about it up here, isn't it? January the 21st or something like that. So all the positive things that he's done for the crypto market haven't really reflected in any way whatsoever. So you need to ask yourself, you know, why is that, you know? So obviously it's just following the general market as such, you know, the rest of the sort of uncertainty in the market. It's still, you know, the psychology of Bitcoin is still a, you know, Wall Street tech stock at this stage, and it's really for, you know, for people that have dropped the pill and Wall Street, you know. So that's that. Yeah, I don't think I can add anything to that, but you know, I just don't get too frustrated with this, because I think there's be a bit more to come over here if that's what we're looking at with the tech stocks. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.